Well, Texas Longhorns are one thing, but actually getting to sit on one, that's a whole other story. Thanks guys, I'm Steven Heumann. I'm here in Texas. I'm going to show you around a little bit and show you some adventure. Follow me. Let's go. Dallas, a place known for football, cattle, and oil money. It's big, it's historic, and for George Rivera, it has a bit of everything. George lived most of his life in the Intermountain West and spent much of his time behind the wheel of his 4x4 in the wilds of Utah before making the move to the Lone Star State. The Dallas-Fort Worth area has grown on him, though, opening up new possibilities in the outdoors.
The city's beautiful, it's huge, it's enormous. You can find anything you want to do there, but what I miss about Utah is the outdoor opportunities, and we're still exploring that here. It's a little bit different than what we're used to.
Those differences take shape almost immediately. Much of the open opportunities for exploration in states like Utah come from their large tracts of public lands. For example, about 67% of the total area of Utah is federally owned and thus public. Texas, on the other hand, has a whopping 1.5% public land ratio. Even with a state as big as this, that's not a lot of land. So if you're looking to recreate, there is going to be some major differences. That's not to say you can't find any. ATVing and dirt biking are big in Texas. You're just going to have to do it at places like this, the Trophy Club Park at Lake Grapevine, just north of downtown Dallas. Here, the trails sprawl over almost 900 acres and travel through a green world of lush forests, quite different from many Western rides. This is all private, and gate fees go to maintain the track and trails. Now, while ATV riding isn't quite as plentiful, water recreation definitely is, and probably more so. There are more substantial lakes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area than I could possibly believe.
Well, this lake, Lake Lavon, it's a beautiful lake. It's one of the man-made lakes. There's a lot of beauty in Texas. This lake here is about 10 minutes from my house, and there's probably within an hour, there's a dozen lakes like this, if not bigger, with all kinds of access for camping, boating, fishing, water sports, things like that. And so there are a lot of opportunities that way here.
Massive reservoirs like Lake Lavon open up possibilities on the water few other locales can match. One of the things that I found interesting in the outdoor world here, though, were the uniquely Texan destinations that tended to be closer to the city centers themselves. Urban trails in Dallas take you to historic sites stretching from our pioneer ancestors to more recent events, with Dealey Plaza, where in 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Just 2 months ago, a new memorial was opened in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of that tragic day. It was definitely a unique experience, standing in the open plaza looking at the X painted on the roadway where the bullet hit its mark. A very somber moment on this particularly rainy day. Now in Fort Worth, one of the funnest experiences for the kids was visiting the stockyards, where every day cowboys ride through the streets, putting on shows and giving you insights into the old days when cattlemen ruled these lands and Texas was its very own nation. Plus, wherever we went, we were greeted with smiles and friendly faces from our Texan neighbors.
Literally every person we met went out of their way to help us and to make us feel at home, and that's a lot of fun. That's really nice to come to a place where people are that hospitable.
Now, obviously, there are plenty of hotels in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and restaurants aplenty, but you're here in Texas. You gotta go barbecue. So, there you have it. Bigger? Yes. Different? Most definitely. But different isn't a bad thing. And when you're exploring places like this, there are always new discoveries to make and things that change your perspective. As for me, well, it made me appreciate the access we have here in the West to go out and explore and not be stopped by the horizon. Like George, I won't take it for granted quite so much on my return.
Take really good care of it. Make sure you're active with your local politicians to let them know what you need, and be responsible, because once it's gone, it's gone. You don't want that, not in Utah.
Well, like everything in Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is big. So if you're going to be going from one destination to the next, ATVing private lands and then going to a lake, you're going to want to make sure to plan plenty of time to get there. Well, this has been a great trip to the Lone Star State. I'm Steven Heumann for At Your Leisure. Now back to Chad and Ria.